Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Psyched for a good show today. We're dealing with a draft. Tariq, how you doing?
Down to the last few weeks, so I've been begging for this draft to go well for my New York Football Giants.
Yes, you have the Giants, and I'm sure you'll work the Knicks in at some point.
Yeah, eventually, depending on how they play.
You're wearing number 3?
He's back. Damar Hamlin is back, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but holy
EJ
cow.
Manuel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. EJ Manuel. Yes.
Yes, we'll talk.
Even EJ Manuel switched all his number 3 jerseys to Damar Hamlin jerseys.
Was there a lot of, you're the uniform guys, there a lot of tampering with Manuel jerseys? Did they were they trying to peel the name off?
Yeah, why would I pay another $120 when I could just have this one at home? And
Yeah, because you're totally sane. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm just saying, man.
In general terms, the Bills don't have a high draft pick, and when that happens, we don't usually care too much. I find this year's draft fascinating with the 4 quarterbacks working in, certainly in the top 6 picks.
I wouldn't even touch him. I wouldn't even be honest with you. I'd touch one quarterback maybe, but everybody else is kind of a iffy. And the question that is so interesting with Bryce Young. Bryce Young, there was a size thing that seems not to be a concern. He stopped talking to the rest of the teams that could have drafted him afterwards. Obviously, it could be Carolina or Houston, whoever it'd be. There's a lot of defensive players in this draft that I think a lot of people are overlooking. So, look, I understand the whole thing about the number of players and their character, but there's a lot of top quality defensive edge rushers in this draft. So, quarterback, we tend to push him a little bit too much, especially, I think, in this draft.
Well, I mean,
yeah, a lot. I'm sorry, but to that point, a lot of mocks that I'm seeing have got quarterbacks in the first 4 picks after some deals.
Well, this week, I mean, as we tape this, Will Levis, who was supposed to be potentially a second-round pick, all of a sudden he's the favorite to be the second overall pick, completely out of nowhere, right? And Vegas knows things when they move things around. Look, there is word that there isn't a lot of first-round talent in the first round this year. In fact, Brandon Beane, general manager of the Bills, was asked about it at minicamp, and he said, we don't have a lot of first-round grades. So you're going to see a lot of movement, right? You've already seen a lot of movement. It seems that teams that need to get impact players this year are going to try and get their way up the board and sacrifice picks maybe down the road. I feel like Buffalo might be one of those teams.
I mean, Levis came out of nowhere, and look how Stenson Bennett, due to one public sort of situation that came out, has started to fall a little bit. Plus, he's a little bit older than you would think he would be more mature. But then again, we're not sure about Levis's maturity. We're pushing all these, Richardson, all these other guys that are being sort of pushed up the board because the NFL wants to produce more quality quarterbacks. Look how it's worked out the last few years with Jalen Hurts and all the other different quarterbacks that are out there that are young and prospering. Josh Allen, one of them.
Okay, but you bring that up. Let's go back to the Josh Allen draft, right? Like, Josh Allen was an afterthought. Lamar Jackson, they wanted to convert to wide receiver, right? If you look at the quarterbacks, the 5 taken in the first round, Baker Mayfield's on his 4th team now. Sam Darnold, does he even have a team? I think he's playing on my daughter's flag football team. Josh Allen is arguably the best quarterback of that draft. Josh Rosen is in the witness protection program, and Lamar Jackson is looking to get a contract.
It's not arguably.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills hit the jackpot.
But my point is, the 2 guys that were the ones expected the least to do well have leaps and bounds been better than the 3 guys that were rock-solid dunk prospects. You have no idea what's going to happen. I don't care what program, what eyes, how many years you have in the league. These GMs don't know.
I would not take too many gambles on quarterbacks. Maybe Young, number 1, C.J. Stroud, possibly. Ohio State quarterbacks do not perform well in the NFL, but there's a lot of defensive players you could add to your team.
Give me quickly as we wrap this up. Give me a team or a guy that you're especially paying attention to when this thing hits.
The Texans and DeMeco Ryan. I think he goes defense. He is that type of guy. And
they're sitting 2 right now.
Two. So there's all this talk about them getting quarterback, which they need. But I think that's a guy you can't miss.
No, you shouldn't be back in the top 5 again. You need to take your quarterback now. Like, I don't get this idea. What are you going to do? You're going to run Davis Mills back out there? You're going to trade for Trey Lance from the 49ers? Why would you not take a quarterback at 2?
Give me a team and a guy.
Oh, we just brought him up, Will Levis, and I'm following Will Levis because he's the Josh Allen comparison here, and I want to know how many years are guys going to get the Josh Allen comparison before the Josh Allen comparison isn't a good thing anymore.
There is a concern that Will Levis loves Will Levis more than Will Levis, so I'm a little bit worried about how he feels about himself.
Yeah, we'll see. This is the Rochester Press Box. Talking Buffalo Bills next.
Check the social media.
I have some travel books, Volume 1, Volume 2. You'll be able to get one of these books for free when you buy the new Volume 2 for only $14.95. Contact me at MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. We're doing our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations, celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today. Find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. Okay, 2 things. We started with the draft. And just quickly, because talking about the Bills' position is almost futile because nobody knows. It's like so far out. But are you looking for anything come draft time for the Bills?
Take the best player available. If you feel that best player is up, go trade up and go get what you want. I mean, you've got X amount of years left where Josh Allen is going to be in his prime.
I go defense. The guy I guess I would throw out there is Joey Porter Jr. I think he's a Penn State grad, father played in the NFL, good defense, good. You need secondary help out there. You need as many secondary players as you can get out there, especially after last year. So I guess it's a guy I would watch out for.
I was trying to play that back. Are you suggesting maybe that the Bills are looking at Allen's replacement already?
No, not Josh Allen's replacement.
Not replacement, but back with some.
No.
Was that the quarterback?
No. Put the players around Josh Allen. You need to succeed.
Okay.
If that player is at 13 and there's nobody underneath him, then you go up to 13 and get that player to help Josh Allen.
All right, you're wearing number 3. Damar Hamlin is been cleared to play for the Bills, and it looks like he'll be out there come training camp.
Well, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. The man was dead. We watched him die 3.5 months ago. 3.5 months ago, just to put it in perspective. Now, I know the injuries are completely different, but Damar Hamlin could be playing football sooner than Von Miller, who's recovering from a knee injury, right? And I think that we all forget what we witnessed and went through as fans, not even close to what Damar went through, but after it happened, look, I can remember waking up to do the show the 3 days after that event happened, unfortunately anticipating that we were going to read that he passed away overnight. He wasn't going to survive. Then there was an idea that he wasn't going to be himself. Then there was a potential he wasn't going to walk again. So for Tuesday, the Bills to walk into minicamp and say, oh, by the way, it was almost like, yeah, he's out there. He's got a medicine ball and he's going to be practicing. I don't believe it.
I'd like to see some sort of documentary, maybe retrace the steps on how this basically happened, how he was able to survive, the entire story. Now, of course, he's got an NFL career to play, and he wants to play, he wants to make the team. We'd like to see him make the team at the end of the of minicamp in the preseason. But I'd also like to go back and honor the individuals that do it every single day, that find ways to get people from a situation where they're dead or clinically dead and bring them back to life. That is very interesting.
Yeah, that would really be fascinating. All right, I'm going to play the bad guy here. It says, the one other, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about, the one other issue with Damar Hamlin's return is he's uncuttable. If he has a bad training camp, how could the Buffalo Bills cut Hamlin if he tries out?
I disagree, and I think that we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Look, Damar Hamlin said himself in his press conference that he has to build himself all the way back up from where he was before. The corner for Kansas City who had leukemia, I forget his name, Eric Berry, I believe it was, right? He had to do the same exact thing. I don't think it's out of the question that Damar Hamlin starts the season, maybe even spends the season on the physically unable to perform list while he builds his body back to what it has to be. Look, I don't think he's uncuttable. I don't. And I hate to say that out loud. I think that the team would give him more time to get back to where he has to go.
You have to remember where he was before all this happened. He wasn't a starter. He wasn't an impact player.
He was the 4th safety, became the 3rd safety as the season went on with the way that he played, but he's still a young player. This is the type of player that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott love, a defensive guy who's versatile. He can play teams for you. He's a guy that soaks things in. Without what happened, I still think he would have made this team after last season.
It's still a thought. I thought about that driving into the show on it next to Josh Allen. He might be one of the hardest guys to cut based on how much support he had. That being said, the Bills did support him, did follow through, did bring him back. He's now in workouts. You'll probably run up against the end of the line before you make that decision, but it is another, 5 months away before you decide.
Damar gave this wonderful press conference where he talked about all the statistics that he's beaten his entire life, and this is why he wants to come back and do this. I think, frankly, he could make more money speaking, touring, than he would be able to make playing in the NFL right now just because of everything that he went through. That being said, we don't know how he's going to feel when he puts shoulder pads and helmets back on again. We don't know how he's going to feel if he ends up out at training camp in Rochester in the hot sun. It's possible that he gets out there and realizes, I don't know if I can do this. It's possible that the folks that witness that on the field with him have dealt with their emotions of it more sooner up to this point than Damar Hamlin has. Damar Hamlin passed out. We don't know if he felt any pain. We don't know if he's going to feel anything different, like a knee injury when you go on the field and you have to trust it over again. I don't know what's going through his head. And Can he do it when he gets back out there?
NFL loves special interest stories like this. Follow him all the way through to the journey and then back on that first game, first week of the NFL. It'd be an interesting story to see.
So much to talk about, and we know how we love Vegas. Prohibitive favorite for comeback player of the year.
Well, yeah. I mean, who else is it gonna be? Like, what the heck?
All he has to do is show up.
What could Baker Mayfield do to beat Damar Hamlin?
Our Buffalo Bills segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like It or Not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Museum in Corning, New York that gets overlooked all the time. Wait until you see the treasures inside. I'll take you there. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. Just look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Like It or Not segment, brought to you by Sport Clips, with the MVP experience better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair, no appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. I feel this is probably the most important thing we're going to cover on the show today. Like it or not, the fact that Josh Allen and his girlfriend have allegedly broken up, and we find out through social media.
I can't say I like it or I don't like it. I'm not in their relationship. I can tell you this. If you're going to go through a breakup, now would be the time to do so before the start of the NFL season, or maybe before the start of the playoffs, or any other time during the regular season. That being said, I don't know what the circumstances are behind this, but how you find out is very simple. Go to the social media of the person that they're dating, find out if the photos are still there and if they unfollow them. That's basically what happened. Other than that, I don't know. I wish them both the best of luck.
So here's what I don't like, and this is a statistic we stumbled upon in the break room on CMF earlier this week. The question was, do you want your quarterback in a relationship or out of a relationship? And 17 of the last 20 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks were either married or in a committed relationship, beating guys like Bachelor Jimmy Garoppolo, Joe Flacco. I don't know enough about the guy, but I don't think he was in a relationship at the time. Aaron Rodgers was one of the only single guys that was able to lead his team to a Super Bowl, and as he got more single, the success did not follow. It seems, if you believe in these kind of things, and you know what a gambler I am, that we gotta find someone for Josh if he did in fact break up with his girlfriend.
So my first reaction is like, oh, come on. When I first said it, it's like, and then you look at it, like, who has assigned themselves the job of watching that woman's Facebook page that they would immediately know and jump to this thing, and it makes headlines?
All the fans that she gained from dating Josh Allen when he was drafted from the Buffalo Bills are basically the fans watching her every move. But that being said, that is a very scary statistic of the guys who won Super Bowls. And the fact that you knew that. Now, I've watched all but one episode of 90 Day Fiancé and did not realize that relationship could have that much of an effect on someone.
Look at how grounded you guys are.
Well, look at that. Well, yeah, I mean, charming and handsome. How are you going to lose me? Tom Brady. That's all I have to say. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in the first year on a brand new roster at a brand new city. His marriage went terribly. It's the first time in his career since he was a kid he misses the play.
I just feel these people spend the rest of their lives sending me these, your Amazon account has been locked.
She has become an influencer.
I dismiss that term.
Okay.
This is a generational thing. I hate that.
You
A YouTube influencer.
You can't. Okay,
Well,
that
they
was
don't
the
influence-
oldest man thing you have ever said in your life.
They don't influence me at all.
I do like the fact that he's just dismissing it. I don't, you know
Thank
what?
you.
That's not a job. How about that?
Hey, like it or not, Jalen Hurts' new contract.
I find it interesting. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't a starter on this team 12 months ago, right? There was a deal in place. This is a fact. To trade for Russell Wilson in Philadelphia, that deal fell through. Imagine how different the NFL would have been had that gone. I mean, the deal is affordable. $179 million guaranteed is in the top 3, but it's not going to be for much longer. It's year by year, technically the largest contract in NFL history. I mean, the kid had a great season. Do you want to commit $250 million to a guy who you didn't think was your starter a year ago?
The guy played the best Super Bowl you could play and lose. I mean, for crying out loud, he was literally unbelievable in that game and isn't the reason why they lost.
Agreed.
But I will say this. It's quite interesting, the fact that there are quarterbacks that are getting paid. There are quarterbacks that are performing well. I feel bad for Lamar Jackson, even though he won't say it publicly. This should be his deal. As a matter of fact, it was offered to him, and he said no. So, I mean, this is part of the business. When you gamble on yourself, you win, you lose.
I see where he came from. I mean, geez, he was benched in a national championship game at Alabama and essentially run out of the school.
And
wound up at Oklahoma.
If Jalen Hurts works out, he's the first Alabama quarterback to succeed since Joe Namath, Kenny Stabler, right? I mean, how long has it been since you've seen an Alabama quarterback?
Yet you would take Bryce Young, an Alabama quarterback, #1 overall.
Look, if I need a quarterback, yes. Well, look, but if Jalen Hurts is the guy, he's bucking the trend, right? Tua Tagovailoa, if he takes a step forward this year, that's 2 Alabama quarterbacks.
You do not want him taking a step forward.
Nor Mac Jones. Like, he seems to be going with the trends from before.
Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Our Unfinished Business segment brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse. Your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop. Enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery and dine at the pub-style restaurant at the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished Business, Pat.
We've been talking a lot of Bills today, and let's keep going because they're back. The boys are back. The draft coming up this week and mini camp earlier. There was one name, big name, not at voluntary mini camp this week. Stefon Diggs, Bills wide receiver. The last time we saw him on the field with his teammates, he was yelling in the face of his quarterback, Josh Allen, running up the tunnel and trying to leave the game before everybody else got into the locker room. Then he spent the offseason not backing down from what he did before, making comments that he's a guy who wants to win, he's competitive, he's not going to apologize for it. So here's the thing. Stefon Diggs is a guy who has missed voluntary mini camps before. It seems like he likes to train on his own, so maybe we shouldn't be alarmed by this. But then there were comments from Brandon Beane, Bill's general manager, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm going to keep the conversations between Stefon Diggs and I between he and I, which is kind of an ominous thing to say when you're just asking what's going on with Stefon Diggs. Josh Allen came out, talked about how much he loves Stefon, how he loves his competitive fire, wishes he was here, but he understands why he's not, and how he needs a guy like that to be successful. So after all of this is laid out in front of us, we know absolutely nothing. It's possible that Stefon Diggs isn't coming to camp to prove some kind of point, but the point I don't understand. The Bills aren't going to trade him. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league, and you need him to make your offense go. They're not going to pay him more money unless that money is going to facilitate bringing in someone like DeAndre Hopkins, and that leads to another point. If there is enough of a rift, with Stefon Diggs, does that force your hand to either trade up into the top 10 to get what you think is a young game-breaking receiver or move picks from this year and next year to go get DeAndre Hopkins? All of this could be decided by the attitude that Stefon Diggs has right now. And to be honest, I'm a little nervous about it.
Listen, everybody loves a player with passion. Everybody loves to see that passion play out, especially if it's for their team. Now, Draymond Green did something in a game that he's been notorious for in other previous situations that he's felt the penalty for. Too many texts, hitting players, all this stuff has been a part of his world. But can you just leave him alone? He got 4 championships. The Warriors are good with the way that he acts, whether it's on the court or off the court, and he shows great leadership and decision-making when it comes to making decisions. Listen, they've got 4 championships. Yeah, I know. They would have had a 5th had he not been suspended against the Cavs, blah, 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 blah. But if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you have the passion, it can be very beneficial to you and galvanize your team into a dynasty. I get it. Draymond Green, he goes over the line. He's a habitual line stepper. But the price would be 4 championships. Do you mind a little dirt if you get 4 championships? I know I wouldn't.
Give the Buffalo Sabres credit. They missed the Stanley Cup playoffs with just a single point and show every indication that the hockey franchise is moving in the right directions. But facts are facts. The team now owns the longest professional playoff drought at 12 years, a dishonor that they share with the New York Jets, and that's an association that neither side is particularly proud of. But it's the team that relinquished that crown that interests us here. The Sacramento Kings of the NBA. The Kings ended their own playoff drought of 16 years by not just qualifying, but placing 3rd in the NBA's Western Conference. Then in a stunning turnaround, Sacramento claimed the first 2 games of its playoff series with the defending league champion Golden State Warriors. It's a basketball team with real promise, some young stars, and a great future. So now it's time to work on ending the next drought, a championship drought that extends back 72 years to 1951. It is the league's longest. The Kings are the Rochester Royals reimagined, thrice removed. The team left here in 1957 for Cincinnati, from there through Kansas City and into California. They didn't leave Rochester empty-handed, though. They won the NBA title in 1951. Rochester, the best basketball team in the world that year. I never tire of saying that. It is still the franchise's only championship. As the Kings are being taken more seriously, you're going to hear more about the Royals, even if next to no one is left who actually saw them play at the Edgerton Park Arena. This is a very real sense, our team, and it's the perfect time to treat them as such. That's our Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, and that is our program, gentlemen.
Am I the only one that's heard about
Yes.
light in his beam? I've
No,
never heard of this before. Have you?
Were we going to beam talk now? Because I got all kinds of beam opinions if we want to get into beam
Well, we were
talk.
told we couldn't talk about the beam.
No
so
beam
that's
talk?
going to have to wait till next week. Hey, thank you for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. I'll see you again next week.
See, now people
We're
want
not
to know
allowed to talk about the beam.
Now people want beam information.